You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal.
Baby.
What's up?
What's going on?
Another beautiful day in paradise.
Another beautiful day.
We in here double fisting.
Double fisting.
It's the first time ever.
We got the bubbles.
Yeah, we got champagne.
And we got wine.
And we got the courtesy of our guests. That's why we're double fisted today.
Yes,
so I can't wait to introduce our guests.
Cannot wait.
And if y'all listening, if you're not double fisting, go ahead and take a minute and
pour up with us.
Yeah.
I mean, because why not? So I got a question for you.
Hit me.
Who is more petty, you or me? I already know the answer. I'm just going to sip my bubbles while I listen.
Who's more petty? You or me? Mm-hmm. Me or you? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, because you had a time to think about it.
Yeah, I'm petty as a motherfucker. Man, I'm so petty. I am so petty. I ain't going to lie, y'all. I could be petty. But honestly, I think it depends. I think it really depends on the situation, you know, to be truly honest, because in business, I'm not petty at all in business. Uh-huh. But for whatever reason, in personal life, boy, I hold on to some things.
So your pettiness is situational?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Definitely situational. So I'm cool with being honest with that. I could be petty, and if you see me frowned up, it was probably I'm holding on to something. That's
man, I know.
And we're gonna dig into that. We're gonna talk about that because a lot of people I don't think really will be honest about how petty they are.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you were.
So we have a guest in the building. Super excited to introduce Klyn Elsbury. She is a 2-time best-selling author. She's the founder of MK Foundation, keynote speaker, hosting events now, like just an all-around amazing person. Klyn's going to tell you a little bit more about what she has going on, her past, her current, and we also have her fiance in the building. You can't see Jeff, but we got to give Jeff a shout out. Jeff's in the house with us, and we got, you know, we are going to be on vacation together in a few months, so it's going to be interesting to talk about that. You know, when that actually happens, it's going to be our first couples retreat.
Yes, looking forward to that. Looking forward to that.
I hope it's like the movie Couples Retreat.
That would be
with
great.
Phase on Love, like Big Worm. You know what I mean? Klyn, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Hey guys, I'm just glad we got 2 drinks for this.
Okay. The couples retreat, I'll be like, Daddy. Remember that on that movie? You guys got to see it. If you didn't see it, you got to see it.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
Welcome. Welcome.
Good
Sorry, I was in the middle of my drinks. So glad to have you here. Welcome. First, as Tommy already alluded to, that you are engaged. So I was going to ask, are you single and ready to mingle? But no.
I mean, depending on how many drinks and how big the diamonds get. No. And it's not just because he's right here, y'all. But no, Jeff's my man. He's stuck with me, despite at first when you guys invited me on this thing to be petty, I was like, oh, let me just talk about everything Jeff does wrong. And
that's
then,
easy.
Yeah, that's
like, how much time you got? 45-minute show? Let's go. But I'm excited to be here. You guys are dope. I love you two so much. So we're going to have fun.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
Oh, goodness. So as you guys know.
Everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been cutting, which is great. No, so really my specialty is inspirational keynotes and events on the concept of mindful leadership, which is really just recognizing your thoughts and how to leverage them. So we all have thoughts throughout the day. Roughly 30,000 to 50,000 women tend to have more than men. You can psychoanalyze that all you want. But yeah, my job's really to create life-altering experiences for people wanting to get more intimate with their own thoughts.
I like that. And, you know, I tell the team that all the time, that we have 30 to 60,000 thoughts a day, so 30 to 50,000. And most of that is stuff that you're thinking about over and over again.
Yep, same thoughts.
Yeah, it's like the same thoughts.
Yep. Another thing you always tell them is that most people live in their heads, right? So
1,000%.
it's kind of like, that's makes sense. So everyone needs a little Klyn in their life. What do you like to do for fun?
So we have a golf cart. We live downtown San Diego. Yeah, it's kind of it's custom with like the Padres. I don't get it, but and I almost killed Jeff when he got it. But for fun, literally, we take our 3-pound dog and we go golf carting downtown. Like it is life.
How's the pull up? Like you could pull up at restaurants and just park in. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have to pay for like parking if you pull up to like meter parking? No.
No, it fits right where everybody else is paying.
So you kind of share parking with somebody that's already paying,
or steal.
I like it. I like it. We work downtown, so we might have to make that investment.
Yes. Yeah. Park it inside the little garage.
Yeah. I mean, we took it here.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Oh, we can look at it when it's done. That's awesome.
Oh, that's so.
And tell me, what are your dreams?
I love that question. I love talking about some vision. The dream, and I just got comfortable saying it out loud, so we all have our own work to do, but I want to fill stadiums with these experiences.
Nice.
You know, so like it started just keynoting for other people's events, and the more I get into it, like I'm booked 42 times in 2023 already.
Hell
so
yeah.
like, why am I wasting my time doing that when I can be creating the entire event soup to nuts for other people and like truly giving them those transformational, life-altering experiences?
Yes.
So that's fill stadiums, take territory.
That's what I'm talking about. That is beautiful.
Kick ass and take names.
Hell yeah. I
like
like
it.
it.
I
Talk
like
about divide
it.
and conquer.
Yes.
2023 already. That's what I'm talking about, forward thinking. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Kaylin, who's more petty, you or Jeff?
It's gotta be me.
You?
You guys, like, the thing is like, and it's not just because he's here. Like, this guy, I'll be talking some shit. And I'll look over and be like, what do you think? And he's like, they're all on their own journey. And I'm like, no, but, like, hate on them with me.
Like, please.
So you try to get them to buy in on it with you.
And he does this cute thing where he goes, yeah, but babe, just recognize everyone's different. And I'm like, but they're the wrong kind of different. Like, so that'd be, yeah.
So when you think about a petty person, like what makes a petty person, right? It's someone who doesn't let go of small things, right? They hold on to them.
Yes.
And they let them boil up.
And expectations, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you have expectations about somebody and they didn't meet those expectations, then all of a sudden you just like,
yeah.
And then that pettiness just, man. And when you talk about being petty, right? It's like, we're not talking about somebody that tripped you, right? Or stepped on your shoe or knocked your ice cream out of your hand. Like, oh, that's petty, like childish. No, petty mean like legitimately we're talking in a sense of, could you have let that go? Like if you had a spat with somebody, or maybe you had a disagreement, or maybe your spouse pissed you off, could you have legitimately let that go?
Oh, and petty would be if you pushed my ice cream down, then the next time I had the opportunity, I pushed your ice cream down too. So that would be petty, right? Otherwise,
That would
I
be
just
called
got
revenge. I don't know. To me, I'd rather take revenge than be petty. It's like, I'm going to let it go. Like, you know what? You got me. I'm going to let that go.
Because petty people are sometimes unkind. It's sometimes like it's an unkind thing, It's just like, let it go, Like, no, you want to hold on to it and you're being mean. I don't know. What do you think?
I think for me, pettiness is reminding of the other person every time they do something wrong, every other thing that they did wrong previously, which I am very talented at, y'all. Like,
I like how you say you're talented at it, because that means it takes practice. Yes.
Been working at it for years.
Tommy.
and it also takes practice to let that go, right? So we talked about expectations. We talked about letting things go. So would you say, who's more control? Are you controlling? Would you consider yourself a controlling person? That's why you kind of hold on to that?
Well, in the spirit of pettiness, he might have called me controlling the other day. Ouch.
See? All right. See? And Danielle's controlling in a sense of like, when it comes to certain things, she was like, oh, you're so controlling. I'm like, bullshit. If things don't go your way, or if like you've seen it in your head and it didn't go down just like that, that's controlling.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to need an example.
I think I'm at the table with two petty people. I think that's what just happened.
You're out pettied right now.
I think I am out pettied. I'm being out pettied right now.
She's playing checkers and we're playing chess.
Yeah, seriously. I think that was a petty throw again. How come I can't be playing chess?
Oh man, but your level of attachment to things as well. I think, and I recently read a book, 5 Levels of Attachment, and when I read that book, it's by Don Miguel. It was at that point when I realized how petty I truly was, and it was like, okay, am I a level 5 attachment to this? And that's why I'm holding on to it. That's why my pettiness usually only lasts for 24. I got an hour. Like mine is 24 to 48 hours. Anything other than that, then my brain is washed.
That's different. And it's good that you brought up that example of that book, because the examples that they go from petty, like say level 1 of attachments, not really petty, but of attachments, to level 5. And then like level 5 was like a fanatic, right? Someone whose team lost and then they killed themselves, right? So that's like level 5 attachment to something or someone. And then level 1 was your team played, you didn't even watch, right? But you know it was your team, but you didn't care that much. You know what I mean? Like that's level 1 attachment. Just saying, as far as a fan. So in pettiness, if your pettiness is level 1, then that means that sometimes things would get to you and you let it go. But then if your pettiness is level 5, that means you sweat all the small things, right? Everything gets to you. Anything that someone does, it kind of irritates you to death, right? And then one thing is, when that happens, that other person's not that irritated. And that's what always gets me about him, is like, he's so pissed, but one, no one knows. Like, that person he's mad at, they don't even know, you know? Like, and then he'll be, like, you just ruined the day because of one thing that happened. Like, don't ruin the whole day.
You're going in right now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You just went in on me. Don't ruin the day. So we got to talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
I'll bring it out. I got to know. What did you do wrong, Danielle?
But what would you say, like, level 5 attachment? Have you ever thought about anything as an attachment, like a level 5 attachment, like I'm all in fanatic, or I'm a level 1, like I really don't give a shit about that?
So it's interesting you guys bring this concept up. I have not read that book, but we have commitment zones in our marriage, which is level 5 or 1, and a 1 means this is an idea, like let's shoot this podcast tonight. A 5 means we're going to meet at 5:15, we're going to have 2 drinks, we're going to go on air, we're going to see what happens. And if you skip out on a level 5, like, good luck, bro. Like, I will full on crazy-fy you.
Okay.
Like,
I love you. You always give real life examples. Now I'm like, what is this example? She's like, well, if for example, she'll give up something that's happening right now. I'm like, I love that. I love that.
Well, so I technically dropped, Monday was like a level 3. We were going to shoot the podcast on Monday, and I wasn't sure, like, Monday or Wednesday, 5:15, 5:30, what are we doing? What are we doing? She said petty, and I was like, let's give her some more ammunition.
So you did it on purpose.
I mean, it was a level 3. Okay. Like, it wasn't set in stone, and it advanced to a level 4 because she's like, it's already set up. And I was like, how is a podcast set up? Like, just a mic. What do you need? I didn't understand. You guys had the wine and the food and the cameras. Hey. So, like, we don't think of it in terms of, like, the book, but, like, we do have 1 through 5 commitment zones. And if Jeff, because it's never me, it's always him, if he messes with the level 5 commitment, like, the fury of, like, a woman gone mad descends upon the household like a cloud, and it just hovers until he apologizes or, like, buys me flowers. And it doesn't even have to be his fault.
Yeah, it's just something that. So, do you have an example, like something? It don't have to be recent. Maybe something a few years ago.
I got lots of examples. How much time you got? No, but, like, and for us, it's usually about time management, right? So, like, if we say dinner's at 7 and you roll in at 7:04, because I am that maniacal. That was a level 5. Like, what are you doing? Now our food's burnt. Like, now I'm pissed off. Like, so I've got work to do on that, and I recognize that. But we also talk a lot about integrity, and integrity is essentially that part of the wheel that's driving the car is either flat or not. And your integrity is based on your word. So if your wheel is not able to operate efficiently because something in the spoke is broken, well, then we need to know to go back to level 5 commitments versus level 1. And the pettiness stems from that. So
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I like the word integrity because I use that all the time. And honestly, it's crazy to me how many people do not understand or even know what integrity means. It's one of our interview questions when we hire people. Yeah. It's like, in your own words, what does integrity mean to you? That's a great example of how, the wheel flat with integrity. That is super dope.
Yeah, it is. That's dope. I like that a lot. I think that usually insecurities are really like pettiness is insecurities kind of in disguise. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. When people are bringing out their pettiness, it's really that they're insecure about something or something that they've affected. And what do you guys say about that? I don't want to make it seem like I'm on you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that in my speech. My own words.
So one thing, and I'm gonna bring up my example when I was petty. I was petty just a couple of days ago. So for me, it's really not insecurity, but I think mine is ego. Like when my ego gets off the chain, kind of like how Kaylin was saying. You know, she goes level, like, you broke level 5. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? So for me, when my ego flares up and I'm like, oh shit, like that's literally all it was ego. So last week, Danielle wanted to take me to dinner. She's like, let's go to dinner. Let's go out for a movie. And I'm like, hell yeah, I was all in. Look forward the whole day. And then we had a situation. I ain't even gonna say we had a situation. I'm in the house and we got the babies around.
Oh boy, you're gonna bring it up? No, see, that's petty.
Yeah, no, but I gotta give an event. I gotta give an example of why I was in the zone. I was like, gosh, man. And
here we go.
And I was blamed for something in my house. I'm like, this is my house. How you gonna blame me for something in my house? So. When I brought it up to Danielle, I was like, what the fuck is happening in my own house that I'm getting blamed for shit? And this is my house. So right off the top, what do you hear? This is my house. So ego flared right out. Like, it was like, oh shit, that's a big ass cloud of ego. And then it's like, who the fuck? Like, why the fuck? And then from there, the movies, like we went to go see Batman.
I didn't want to ask you any questions, but you came at me with the situation, right? Now, what did I say? I said, may I ask you something? Why does that make you so upset? And you're like, because it's my fucking house. I was like,
that's all I could say.
Like, okay. And then I walked away. Because, I mean, what else can I say to that? There's no more I can say to that. So I just walked away. But then he held on to it. And it was just like, really? We're in the Uber now. So we can drink and have a good time while we have dinner and watch a movie at the same time. But he's still holding on to it. I'm like, okay.
Ego is the enemy. Ego is the enemy.
Yes.
So so when you ask for insecurities, for me, it's ego.
And that's why I think that pettiness and revenge are close, because I feel like you were upset at my mother, and therefore you didn't take it out on her, but you took it out on me. Right. And I think that when people that's why I think it's kind of like a revenge thing. Right. Because someone pissed you off. Right. So you're going to piss them off. Right. And if you don't piss them off, then you're going to keep on until you do piss them off. That's pettiness.
OK, I didn't see it like that. I was just angry.
Ooh. I see that as perseverance.
I'm loving this show.
Yeah, we win. You know, it's funny you bring that up, because Jeff would never say that to me because he's so much better. Get it. But if he ever did, it's very easy for the feminine energy to say, yes, but I make it the home. And then but that's petty right back.
That was
that
was a strategic petty moment right there. I like that strategy.
I'm so talented.
So I was called petty growing up a lot. And I think maybe that's why I'm not as petty now. And plus, I was the oldest child. I know you were the oldest child as well. But as the oldest child, I was always the one that didn't get everything that all the other kids got. Or like my mom would have, let's say, like, I don't know, there's 5 of us, right? 5. So like she has something simple and everyone else got some, and then it's like, well, I only got 2. And she'd be like, why are you so petty? And I'd be like, what? But that's not fair. And, so I grew up feeling like, oh, I guess that is being petty, and I shouldn't hold on to it. And I have all these other people that I had to take care of, or I had to do this. And so I kind of just ended up getting over it. Now, I'm not saying I'm not a petty person.
I'm about to say,
because
you were
everyone,
just petty last week.
Yeah, I was going to say, when?
Well, we were sitting there, those kids. Yeah. Don't be petty. Don't be petty.
He just straight called you out in your monologue.
He really did.
You got this inspirational chat going about firstborn privilege. Yeah. And he's like, you didn't even listen to that. You petty last week.
I was like, what? I'm like, no, I wasn't. Tell me. And I'm like, oh, shit, yeah. I was.
Yeah. I was. Own it.
I was, yeah.
So let me ask you this. Is your pettiness just in your relationship, or do you hold that with friends, other family members?
That's a good question.
Clients, did a client piss you off, or you like, this motherfucker, I asked for this?
Nah, because they pay me.
Can't be mad at that.
I'm
Very true.
very forgiving when the check's clear. No, but like, I would say there's some work to be done on the relationship, because like, straight up, this guy did not have to love me when we met. Like, I don't know how much of the story you guys know, and I'll go back just a little bit to go forward, but usually what comes out, because most of my stories are related to living in hospitals. So I've had 70 hospitalizations, 70 from cystic fibrosis. And so when I met Jeff, I totally lied about my background. We met online, so he didn't even know my full name. And I, like, if you spell it, you're like, oh, I should Google this chick. And I wouldn't tell him how to spell my name, because I knew if he Googled, he'd know the jig is up. Like, there's, this chick might be terminal. And so, like...
So what was the name that you gave him?
Oh, I mean, it's still Kaylin, but, like, try to spell it the way my parents spelled
Okay,
it.
gotcha,
okay,
gotcha.
okay.
All right.
You can't pull that off, you know.
But you didn't catfish him. Okay.
I mean, I might have. Like,
A bit.
Yeah,
I ain't above it. Like, girls got to do what they got to do to get these men.
You caught him.
You know, I respect that.
Yeah,
grind.
I do.
That is dope.
Thank you. I will use that going forward. It was a grind. And, you know, so it's interesting for our relationship because, like, you know, look at how hot he is. Like, he's the eligible bachelor in San Diego. He had a boat. He had a business. He had his own property. Like, dreamy. And then there's me, like, living in hospitals being like, I wonder if I can get him to bring me dinner. You know, like, so it's interesting. I don't have that same attachment towards my business because it's like, that's transactional. But this, if it goes unnoticed, my fear is like, you know, he won't show up on time for the wedding if he's 5 minutes late for dinner. So it's like, I got to nip it in the bud because I don't want it to be the entire life. I want it to be just a moment. And that's some work that I know I have to do. And sometimes when he calls me out on it, I'm like, you're right, but you can't tell them they're right. That's the thing. So, like, I don't even know if that answered the question.
It's a great, what it was a great observation and awareness because you're like, basically, like, I love this dude so much that, like, you're everything. You know what I mean? You're everything, so I need you to be everything, and I need you to be everywhere at certain times or whatever. But also what I'm hearing is a lot of pressure, too. It's like that is a lot of pressure at the same time. It's like, because he came so naturally as he was, and then now it's like, you were 5 minutes late, fucker.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so the other part of that question was, does that carry over to other family members? Do you, like,
Or friends.
Doesn't.
or friends?
Friends.
It doesn't. But if anything, I feel like I'm the one always 5 minutes late socially.
And then people are looking at you like
Like, what's wrong with this girl?
being mad petty.
hate
And
it.
then
It's like,
you,
I'm just trying to be like Jeff because I love him so much.
So silly.
Like,
Trying to be like Tommy.
right?
no, see, we were working. That's why we were late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was hard, but still, it's no excuse. But we couldn't have told our employees like, all right, drop this. We're
Deuces.
out. Yeah, we tried our hardest. I swear we did.
That's funny. So I don't think my pettiness carries over to anybody outside of my family. I feel like sometimes in my family, like the close ones, I don't have a pettiness because I don't have an expectation or I don't hold them accountable, but they might feel like, oh, damn, like he don't give a shit too. You know, so because I don't give off some type of like, well, why did you do it like that? I'm just like, oh, whatever, I don't give a shit. Or I mean, that's what it sounds like, but I don't say that.
You move on from some things really quickly, but other things you kind of hold on to.
Whatever happens in my house, that's the only
I
thing
think
that
that's
makes me
I was gonna
petty.
say it's the things that's your
Again,
everyday.
my house. That's that ego shit.
Lord.
It's ego.
Yeah, you're not lying.
I got work. He's working on me.
Yes, definitely.
It's interesting you just brought up expectations. Like, we've hinted at that throughout the theme of the show, but like, I'd almost be curious, my expectation is that he shows up on time for the wedding.
Right.
And so that turns into like a chaos when he's late for dinner. And so I wonder how much pettiness and expectations are in alignment, because if you're expecting one thing, level 5 commitment, and you get a level 2, is that the trigger? Because there always has to be a stimulus, a trigger, and a response, right? And over time, it compounds. So it's interesting you brought that up. I never thought of it like that.
I think 1,000%. And now thinking about it is like, yes, this happened, and then because of whatever that was, I reacted. And if had that not happened, I wouldn't have reacted.
Which I think goes back to me saying that pettiness is like kind of like revenge, because it's kind of like, oh, you want to be petty, huh? You know, like, let's do this. You know, I could be petty too. You know, or you could just like, okay,
Just let it be free.
Yeah, like
Nah, I don't know. I can't vibe with you on that one, because I don't never feel revengeful. Like I don't have. To me, when I hear revenge, I hear some type of malice or some type of intent to
so
get
it's
back.
as if you are you're going after that person because
but
they
it's
went
not.
after you. When petty is just, if I happen to get you back, then
you
I
just-
do.
no.
I see the opportunity when it comes it's presented.
Or petty is you rub me the wrong way, right? Like you just rubbed me the fucking wrong way. Like you showed up or you was late. Like, damn it, you rubbed me the wrong way doing that. Or you didn't cook this chicken the way I wanted. So you will never cook chicken again. It's like, I fucked up one time. Now
Salmonella is serious, though.
one time I fucked up. Now you're going to hold that over my head? Like, come on.
Oh, I say one thing that people need to understand too is that pettiness is not about them. Like whenever you feel some way, and like, I mean, seriously, you were very petty, right? And I'm only saying
Don't
it,
put
I'm only
very on it.
mentioning
Wow.
it because you brought the story up, right?
Oh, because I admitted to it.
Because you admitted to it. But you held on to it all day, right? It had nothing to do with me. But I threw myself in it, right? Come on, stop, let's do this. You know, like, I mean, I even was just like, you're ruining my day. Why are you doing this? You know? And I'm like, well, fuck it then. I'm going to drink then. You know, it's like, why am I letting you affect me like this? It's not about me. So I'm saying when people are petty, their pettiness isn't, it's not about you. It's about them.
So think about how your petty affects everybody around you, right? And if you think about what we've been talking about, ego, if you talk about the trigger, like if you understand like what triggered it, the expectations that I had, that's why it was a trigger, then could you let it go? Like could your petty go from 24 hours to 5 minutes? Like, oh yeah, it did rub me the wrong way, but now I'm done. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is how do you stop being petty?
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you looked at me for that. I might have Googled some shit to say. No, so seriously though, so Jeff and I have this thing called reset. So when we were talking about this over a champagne brunch, that's what got me going to Alaska.
I love this. Yes.
Oh, this is some good quality.
Shit.
Get your notes.
Yes, get your
Refill my
notes.
glass, please.
Will do.
All right, so I'm going to go two parts, and I'm going to try not to be long-winded. So if I am, just cut me off. But
Go.
the reason pettiness takes over the entire day is because of a part of our brain that is a pencil-like shaped structure, and it's in the back of our brain above our spinal cord, and it's a cranial nerve. And what that means is it goes from the brain all the way down our spine, and it controls the axis of information. And it's called a reticular activation system. And your RAS, right? So activate your RAS. So get it? Like ass. Yeah. Okay. My
Love
jokes
it.
don't get better. But
Definitely
really,
gonna
when you
use that, though.
activate, you should activate your RAS. You say that. This is my house. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna activate your RAS right now, bro. So basically, when it flares up in your brain, it's the thing that says, like, when you buy a new vehicle, you see that vehicle everywhere. So when Tommy pisses you off, or when Jeff's 3 minutes late, it reminds me of everything Jeff has ever done that pissed me off, because I can't see him for the loving human he is in that moment. I see him as like, oh, remember that one day you texted your ex? Remember that one day you did this? Remember that one day, like, and all the baggage comes up because that RAS is activated. And the quickest way to reset it is to do the inverse, which is to think of like all the things he's done right. And that's where the reset comes in. So if we have our moments of pettiness, which mostly it's me yelling at him, not vice versa, one of us, when we feel triggered, will just yell out, reset.
Nice.
And that means activate your ass and find a different thing. So maybe that's the time that he bought me flowers spontaneously, or maybe that's the time he drove a golf cart to a podcast when he had other shit to do tonight, you know? So like I give him that credit, and I just spend a couple of seconds thinking about all the things I love about him, because if I can think about that, then it'll carry me through the next event.
So out of nowhere, reset. Either one of you
Yeah.
are able to say
Like
that.
if I'm going to bat with you right now and you piss me off, I'm going to just call reset, and like we both spend 10 seconds, shut your eyes, think about everything you've like loved about our friendship, and then we move forward in that space. And sometimes, let me be very real with you, we did this in Croatia. We were trying to find a restaurant, and we could not agree on a place. And we're walking up and down the street for like 2 hours. Like, what about here? What about here? What about here? And eventually, like, we were snapping at each other. And we're like, reset. And then the very next place, I'm like, I don't want to eat here either. And we're like, reset again. Like,
you had a double tap on a reset.
I mean, that one might have been like an hour long. But like all stuff like that. Like
reset again.
and it's like you both recognize you're being ridiculous. And I remember in that moment in Croatia, we switched roles. I'm like, fine, you fucking find it. Like, you're in charge. I'm done. And he goes to find a place, and he goes to sit down, and he goes, I don't like this place. And we just had that moment like that. Like, we just started laughing, and we're like, see, it's hard to find a place to eat in an international country, like, where you don't speak the language. And then we were like, I see you. And, like, that just cleared the air.
That's super dope.
So, don't worry, I'm still petty. I'll talk shit.
She's like, it ain't
That's
going
super
nowhere.
dope. So how, like, how did that come about? Was that a mutual creation, or did one of you bring that into the relationship?
Honestly, he probably did, because he's like, we got to figure out something to do when I get petty. So it was probably his idea, but like also we do the work, right? You guys are going to the couples retreat with us. We call it a vacation, but secretly we're doing the work.
Truth. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's no coincidence how dope your guys' marriage is, because you do the work, and like,
thank you.
You're not afraid to fight the battles, and that's what really attracted me to you when we would meet up. Is I was like it got real right away, and so the question becomes, if it gets too real between us, and us as in Jeff and I, and we have that moment where we're like, you really the one? Like, do we need to talk about this right now? Because like that's also what marriage is. It's not all butterflies and rainbows and bunnies, which
1,000%
is what I thought, because I spent all my time on Instagram. And I'm like, wait, couples fight? And it's like, yeah, but the winning couples fight, and then they have strategies and tools and systems and processes, just like we do in business. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that's why collectively we're all entrepreneurs. If that's why we're not as petty in business, because we have systems, processes, and tools, but we don't have that in our relations.
That's a good
1,000%. That's and it's a great point. And we had a discussion on a previous podcast where we talked about arguments, and arguments are literally only for the people that you consider your loved ones.
Yeah.
Like, you don't spend the energy for anybody else.
No.
So like
sucks.
pettiness, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you're not petty
It's the
with
same
anyone.
thing.
Like normal people in the street, you're like, they do something to you. You're like, oh, you go over, I will help you. Let me pick you up. Let me give you this. Let me open the door for you. But then your spouse, you're like, fuck you. Like, I'm slamming the door in your face, because you're a bitch. Yeah.
Sorry,
and no, like, by all means, you're absolutely great. And Danielle used to get on me all the time, because she'd be like, you're so much more patient for other people outside of us.
Oh, girl, we would be in business meetings, and he'd be like, oh, yes, this and that and that.
I don't
and I'd
sound
be
like that, but yeah.
I'm like, can you talk to me the same way you're talking to them? Because this is not who I know. So,
and I do talk like that at least 18 hours of the day. But then when you have that one moment, that's all you think about is that one time when I snapped.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
So that's a great point. Is the strategies is what keeps us from being petty to everybody outside of our immediate ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And like, she said it perfectly. Like, if I don't like you, I'm not going to fight with you, because I don't care. Like,
it's just not worth it.
I look forward to the day where you and I get in a girl fight, because like that means we both care about each other. And it better be quick, because you're just going to tell me I'm right. And if
move
not,
on.
I'm going to text Tommy and be like, your girl messed up. Like, make her apologize, reset. But like, if I don't like you, I'm not going to fight with you. I'll be like, okay, that's just Danielle being Danielle. Like, you do you.
Oh, I love it.
That's real shit, though. That's real shit. If you think, like, because we asked, like, is there anybody else that you could be petty with? Like, honestly, no. Like, you really can't, because strategically in your head, it won't allow you. It's like, I don't have the energy for that. So, but your spouse, your significant other, the person that you share space with, those are the only people that, if you really think about it, now, if you're petty to anybody outside of who you share space with, you need to go to Alaska by yourself and have a retreat on your own.
I think I might be a little petty. I was just sitting here thinking about stuff, and I'm like,
Did your petty level just go up?
I think so, because I thought about things that I do, like, that other people don't like. If I go to the bathroom at like, say, someplace like at our office, and there's this, they don't change the tissue. It's on the top, so I'll change the tissue, right? And then the next time I go, it's not changed. I'm like, fuck it, I don't care if it falls on the ground or if it doesn't, then I'm not changed. Is that a level of pettiness?
That is a level of pettiness.
I think I have a level of pettiness to people I don't know. So other
your
people,
petty is universal.
yes. Oh my god.
I think we just found out that she won.
Or lost.
Your petty outweighs everything.
Oh my
in
god.
the room.
Oh my god. Yeah. I'm really petty. It's super petty stuff.
All right.
Super
Serious
petty.
question. Serious question. Does the toilet paper have to be on top or at the bottom?
I like it on the top.
Me too.
I've learned to like it on the top. I grew up with it on the bottom.
It's called that reset, you know? All right, toilet paper on top. That's the new name of this show.
But I've also learned that you could only fold the toilet paper like a triangle when it's on
Gotta be a
top,
triangle.
which is impressive to me. That's called fancy.
Were you guys petty as children? I know we're only talking about as adult, and I did mention a little bit as a child.
Growing up,
I was told that I was petty, but I don't recall really
think
being a petty child or doing petty things as a kid.
I don't think I was petty as a kid.
No.
Nah.
No.
I had no reason to. I mean, I grew up in Queens. It's like, what do you have to be petty about? Growing up in beforerocco age, I was like, I didn't have Jordans. I didn't have leather jackets. I didn't have gold. I didn't have none of that stuff. I was a normal ass kid, just trying to make it. Like, if I had anything to be petty about, it was like, well, get the fuck out of here.
I can see that. It was hard times.
Yeah, no, I mean, just living, just like my parents was, your middle class family that was just paying their taxes, working for the city, and we was around a bunch of people like that.
What about you, Kaylin?
I mean, no, because, you got stories about Queens. I got stories about the ward. It's kind of hard to be petty when, the kid next to you in the patient room is code blue.
Yeah.
You see their
She said
family
the ward.
coming in.
That's like fifth ward. No, she's talking about the hospital.
No,
ward.
yeah, I
That's
should
even more
clarify.
gangster.
You said the ward. It was like everybody in
It was like,
Louisiana would have been like, "What? She from the NO?"
Fifth ward? I was all like, when did Kaylin go there? Like, oh no.
So just in case they're listening, I have to tell this story. So Tommy and Danielle invited me to Tommy's birthday party, which, by the way, you guys know how to throw a party. You guys know.
Thank
you.
And my goal that night was I'm not going to drink. And I'm going to go solo, and I'm very introverted. So the more we get to know each other, you're going to be like, hee. I know.
So real quick, you're introverted and you're a keynote speaker.
I know. God works in very mysterious ways.
So
Thanks, G.
just wanted to make sure. So never use that as an excuse. Like, oh, I'm shy.
It's true.
Very successful keynote speaker and best-selling author.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just wanted to highlight that.
Well, they say that the most successful keynote speakers are introverted because they care more about the content than the audience's reaction. So it tends to be rich. Anyways, not the point.
But that makes sense.
So we're at this bomb party for Tommy's birthday, and I am shy, and I decided I wasn't going to drink that night. And I go up to one person, and I was like, where are you from? And they said, New York. And I was like, I love New York, as this super privileged white girl. And they were like, yeah, this ain't Sex in the City, New York. And I was like, shit.
It's the other side.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I failed. And because all I was thinking of my one trip to Manhattan, and outside of that, it was Carrie Bradshaw with her freaking Mac, writing her stories, her little stupid stories about dating rich men. So
I love it because you're like, Soho? He's like, no. You're like,
yeah. No, he goes, what did the guy say? Queens? And I was like, oh, yeah, I've never been there. So for me, I appreciate that you say the word for me was more, I don't know what word you used because I blanked out because I was nervous to tell that story.
oh,
but
that is so funny. We're talking about the ward.
the hospital ward, right? So it's interesting because you don't have time to be petty because I remember there was this girl named Heather. I'm gonna talk some hospital shit right now, and I've never told this story, but fuck Heather. So she was a patient. She also had cystic fibrosis, and she was in the room next to me. Mm-hmm. And at the time, sometimes you could be in a jointed room, but I actually kicked her out of my room so she could be next to me because I hated her. Because every second she had to call the call light. and be like, nurse, I'm in pain. Nurse, I'm coughing. Nurse, my TV's.
I couldn't imagine.
I hated this bitch. And I remember that was my petty moment, is like I took my IV pole and I slid down the hall because it was Iowa City. And I'm so sorry if Heather's family ever finds this episode.
Well, and just to be honest, like you were going through the same shit Heather was, and probably even worse, right? So
I hated
just
Heather.
saying, it's not like you weren't in pain or you weren't, but continue.
Yeah, and the fact I remembered
Continue.
Heather's name says everything you need to know. Like,
right?
clearly I still have
I'm about to
baggage
say,
to work
and this
through.
was when you was a child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so-
was 10. And I was the cool
And that shit is
patient.
real still.
Yeah. So we'd slide up and down the halls with our IV poles. And like, fucking Heather, you'd be at the nurses station. I'd talk to the nurses. And they'd be like, oh, there's an emergency room 253. And I'm like, Heather again? Like, I hated her. And like, it's just funny because like now as an adult, I think I would have led with a little more compassion.
Right, right.
But like the kid version of me just hated Heather. And I still do. Like, I am sweating right now thinking of this.
Was it the attention that she was getting?
Yeah.
Like what was
That
it?
she was asking
Like-
for,
Yeah.
or
Like, we all got stuff, right? Like, you don't have to be in a ward to have stuff. Like,
Right.
you could just be in New York City, not living the Sex and the City life,
Yeah.
but like, you got stuff. And Heather was trying to milk the stuff for what it was worth. And I think there was a part of me that wanted to, but like, I saw how stressed the nurses were, so I didn't get my own attention.
So you had compassion for the nurses at the same time.
It was more compassion for the nurses than compassion for self.
oh man, that's some real shit. It's kind of like what I just told you about my pain. I have a level of pain, and I honestly I won't, because of the way that I grew up, and I was always an excuse for pain that was given to me why things couldn't be done. Oh this or oh that or oh that. So now, which I shared with people or with the podcast, I have a back situation going on, which you already know, right? And I play the pain down a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, I'm in serious pain, girl, and I will not, I don't like to say it. I won't, just lately here, because I can't do everything. I'll say, like, I'm sorry, babe. But in front of people, I'll pretend like I'm okay. I'll put on this face, like I'll roger up. And then when I'm alone, I'll be like, oh my God, like I'm fucking hurting, you know? But I don't like to show it in front of people. So that's it.
Made
That's
you
it
think
right
about
there.
the compassion
Yeah.
and taking advantage.
Yeah, I don't want to take advantage of people. And when I'm down and I can't move, please, all of you guys, run to me, help me.
Yeah, but you ain't gonna ask for
yeah,
it.
my as long as I'm on my feet and I can walk, and I'm like, I'm okay, you know, I can do it. So I love that story. Thank
Well,
you
and
for
it's
sharing
funny
it.
because I forgot about our bonding was when you started telling me like what was going on with you medically.
It was our first night out. The first night, it was actually when I first fell in love with mimosas. Like, every time I have
Yeah,
a
I
mimosa,
remember that.
I'm just
Oh,
like,
man.
this is Kaylin. Yeah, after that night, he's like, yeah, you have to take an Uber,
Yeah,
or
I said-
I have to drop you off
I
when
said,
you hang out with
if
Kaylin.
You and Kaylin ever go to brunch again? Uber. Like, it's downtown. I will
Yeah.
come pick you up from anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, let me granted, I came home that night and I was like, my back was so fucked
Yeah,
up.
'cause you
And
was live.
Yeah, but I was kind of lit, but still, my back was hurt. But it was because of something different. So
that's percent. But like your energy, your adrenaline was like here.
yeah,
You-
we had
she
a
was like, oh my
great
gosh,
time.
oh my.
We did.
Start drinking mimosas ever since. Now she loves mimosas.
Yep.
Get
Yep.
her
And
to
I'm
drink
like,
a mimosa.
ooh, a flight? Yes, it's true. I didn't even like champagne, to be
No,
honest.
yep.
Yeah, so you made me like champagne, girl.
Open up.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I take
But seriously,
that.
let's real talk this. Like, are you in pain right now as we... Okay, so like, this is a thing. It's not like it went away after our brunch date.
No, not until I have my surgery. I have a lesion that's in my back, and once I get the lesion taken out, then everything will kind of go back together. So right now, it's pushing my spinal cord over, or not my spinal cord, but my disc over, which is creating pain all the time.
Pressing
so,
against the nerves.
yeah.
Yep.
So, and it makes my leg weak, and yeah, I don't like to talk about it too much, but
No, you don't. But that's why we did a whole episode on it.
yeah. So.
And hopefully surgery is pretty soon, because
Yeah.
then we can enjoy Alaska, and
Yep.
we have part 2 of that podcast.
Yeah, that'll be the flip side of it. So, yeah. So like right now, I may like drag my leg a little bit, but
I just
I'm
figured that was
okay.
because you were drunk.
Yeah, I try to stay a little drunk nowadays. So it helps with the pain, and it's like we could have a whole other discussion on on medicine, Yeah. And then
I'll be back.
Yeah, because your medicine comes from Mexico, which is completely different.
Yeah, so I have to like look it all up, and I'm looking at it in the translation app and all this. I'm like, what is this, and what does it do, and what does it not do? And so that's a whole nother story.
Well, before we get into our final thought, Kaylin, we have to know your handles, your social media. How can people follow you? How can people pick up a book?
Yeah. I laugh because like we just had such a moment, and like I was like, they say when you're having fun, time flies. And so I was like, what do you mean we're wrapping up? Like, it's been 45 minutes? But it's at...
This went fast.
Right? Yeah. At Klyn Elsbury, and it's KLYNELSBURY. Or the main thing you can do if you want to enroll in the Mindfulness Challenge is it's free. But misskaylin.com, MISS.
Tell us more about the mindfulness challenge.
Girl, it's the best work I've ever done. Like, I could cry about it.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, I basically took all the life lessons from living in the ward, hospitals, not Queens, or prison, or whatever.
The fourth ward.
Say no Carrie Bradshaw shit. But it's 22 days. Every day it's an email, and it forces you to look inward. And some of it's about purpose. I have an event that I call The Cliff. But an attendee made it better, and so I'll probably change the name, but I gotta share the story real quick. Where I take you on an unconscious level, and you can do this through email, you can do this live, whatever you want. If you're driving in the car with your kids or your spouse, right? I'm with Jeff, you're with Tommy, and you're living your best life. Well, statistically, it's like 6% of the people in the United States are going to die by a traffic accident. On their way home from work or on their way to the grocery store. So like the everyday moments we take for granted. And the question is like, if I'm in the car with Jeff or you're in the car with Tommy, what conversation would you have decided to have if you knew that was going to be the day that your car was hit head on and you both died? And so it's like shit like that for 22 days.
It's a great observation.
Yeah, because like it just resets you.
Definitely.
So I'm excited about it. People tend to like it, so they tell me.
And that's MISSKLYN.com.
Yes, sir.
Miss
Yes,
Kaylin.
sir.
And y'all, she spelled it right for y'all because Jeff didn't get the correct spelling the first time around. So MissKaylin.com.
Ain't that petty now?
At Klyn Elsbury.
You got a man now.
Instagram, Facebook. Super dope. Anything like coming up that people could follow you about? Anything new that's happening like soon?
You'll find all that on the site, but yeah, that challenges everything.
Okay.
And if we're leaving, I literally Googled this for y'all. So the biggest advice takeaway I have is don't pet the sweaty stuff and don't sweat the petty stuff.
I like that.
I like that. Yeah.
She came with that. Okay. All right. Say that one more time. Say it one more time so they really hear you.
Don't pet the sweaty stuff and don't sweat the petty stuff.
Don't sweat the petty stuff.
Brought to you by memes.
What's your final thought?
It is to never assume malice when incompetence would suffice or has an explanation, right? So I think that's what pettiness is. I think that you think that someone did something to you maliciously, which is why I kind of went on to that revenge, like how it is, right? Because I think that you're petty towards someone because you think that they were like maliciously after you. And so you're like, oh, like I say, so you want to be petty? I got you. And so therefore you kind of stick it to them unconsciously, consciously, I don't know, but never assume someone is doing something malicious to you.
That's great. I love that. That's beautiful. Dope podcast. Appreciate you, Kaylin. Thanks for joining us. I love you. This is Life and Shit.
Life and Shit.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.